Thank you. Ms Terpstra.
Thank you, Madam Acting President. And it gives me great pleasure to rise and make a contribution on the Parks and Crown Land Legislation Amendment Bill, because I love boating, camping and fishing. And I'm glad Mr Borman's in the chamber, because I'm going to talk a little bit about my boating, camping and fishing experiences as a young person. I've had plenty of them, and I still love to fish. And actually it was, I think it was not last year, but the year before, I was trying to teach my then 13-year-old daughter how to cast a line. We were standing at the end of a pier, and it was hilarious because I'd love to teach you, Mr Borman, how to cast a line. I know how to bait a hook, and I know how to cast a line, and I know how to catch a fish. And I love it. And it's something I haven't done for a while, but it sort of goes back to my childhood of growing up in a beach kind of area and being able to swim. And I also remember being able to swim out from the beach to a boat that was more like a crate really on water, but it was something that we would do. We would swim out to that boat, we would fish off that boat, and we would catch fish and of course swim back and bring them back. So they're fantastic memories, and so I thoroughly understand why the Andrews Labor government would make these commitments to Victorians, because, you know, boating, camping and fishing is good fun. And so look, it's I thought we were going to have an easy day today, but we've got some trickiness here in the chamber already, but, you know, par for the course apparently this week. But look, what I can say, Madam Acting President, is having seen the opposition's amendment, I'll talk about that in a moment, but of course the government opposes that amendment, and we also further oppose the, as foreshadowed by the opposition, the referral of this legislation to the Environment and Planning Committee for an inquiry. I'll just turn to the what this bill actually does, because I think there's some confusion in the chamber about what this bill actually does. So, and look, my colleagues, Ms Vagela and of course Mr Barton, I listened to their contributions, and they very aptly summarise what this bill does. So I won't go on and repeat all of that, because I think it's pretty clear for the record, but I just will underscore these things. So again, look, this is, for the opposition to say this is out of the blue and not, you know, we didn't, I mean, this was an election commitment from 2018. It's been out there for 2 years now, so why it's come as a surprise, I don't know. But anyway, the legislation provides greater opportunities for fishers and campers to explore Victoria's many beautiful landscapes by enabling camping along licensed river frontages across Victoria, which is part of the government's 2018 fishing and boating election commitments. Okay, so it's been out there for a while. This bill seeks to remove the prohibition on camping on licensed water frontages from the Land Act 1958, and it recognises that this activity has been occurring on many of these frontages for many years, and it allows for it to be better managed through regulation. This also regularises the situation between licensed river frontages and unlicensed river frontages, state forests and national parks where camping is currently prohibited. Now, effectively, this is in a nutshell. The public is already able to lawfully access licensed river frontages for recreation such as fishing, picnicking and hiking, but just not camping. So these things already happen, Madam Acting President. These things already happen, just not with camping. Now, it's not to say that camping isn't happening, because we know people are camping on these lands, but what these amendments do, or what the changes to the bill do, is actually harmonise the legal framework so that people can do these activities in a more consistent manner. The public currently camp in state forests in harmony with farmers who have grazing licences. So again, this is about where people have licences over Crown land. And the concern would be, and I'll talk about this in a minute, would be that should the opposition amendment get up, that it would say a person must not camp on a licensed water frontage unless the person has obtained permission from the licensee. That prohibits people access to Crown land, which they already have. And it would seek to give another set of rights to licensees who have had licences approved. And that's kind of a little bit unfair to say, guess what, you gratis get some more rights. So that's why the government opposes this amendment as proposed by the opposition. And as I said, these activities are already happening now, and people are able to fish, picnic, hike and camp. They already do it now, and, you know, I think most, and I'm sure Mr Borman would agree with me, most boating, fishing and camping folk are good folk. They're responsible folk. So when they're going to these beautiful areas, they want to... He's agreeing with me, Mr Borman, yes? Of course he is. I can't see round the pillar there. But... because these things already happen, and people who want to enjoy the great outdoors actually are responsible people. They look after their environment, they clean up after themselves, they extinguish their campfires and make sure they put them out. You know, so to suggest that by, you know, harmonising the legislation that applies, or harmonising or, you know, improving the regulatory framework would somehow cause or upset or cause a catastrophe, I just think it's hysterical. And finally, a licence is not a lease, so it's a different set of rights. It does not give a licensee exclusive use of Crown land. Members of the public already have the right to enter and remain on the land for certain recreational purposes, as I said earlier, but also walking, fishing or bird watching. This legislation simply extends those rights to include the right to camp on licensed river frontages subject to the regulations. So, again, it's ill-conceived, and I might just say... as I said, I'm disappointed to hear Mr Davis say that this has all come as a surprise. It's not a surprise. It was an election commitment. It's been out there for 2 years. It's nothing new. And so, as I said, this is about harmonising the regulatory environment. And also in regard to the committee referral, I'll remind Mr Davis, and as I'm the incoming chair for the Environment Planning Committee, this referral seems to me to be something that is, as I said, government opposes this referral, but I'll just remind Mr Davis that the Environment Planning Committee is already dealing with an inquiry that's going to look at ecosystems, and much of what you're proposing here is already on the table to be reviewed. So in saying that we oppose this referral, in saying that we, no, because I'm looking at it here, you're talking about the impact of native flora and fauna, impact on wildlife, impact on biodiversity, biosecurity, water quality, pollution, contamination of water, all of those things. They're all things that impact ecosystems, and the committee is already looking into those things, and will commence its first, hopefully, inquiry or hearings into that matter very shortly. So it would be a duplication of the work that that committee is already going to begin to undertake and continue on into next year. So look, I think like I said, I reflect back on my own childhood of being able to swim out to a rubbish old boat that, was lucky didn't sink when we were on it, and it was good fun though. As a kid, I can remember, we're all scared and laughing all at the same time, and it was down at Burrani Bay, Gunnamatta Bay, in the Shire. There you go. I'll expose the fact that I'm a Shire expat. But they were wonderful memories, and fishing and learning to fish, catching your own food, because we would cook the fish. When well, if you had to throw them back, you would always get a few toads, they were called, the things that catch them and they blow up, they're no good. You have to send them back. But we would catch bream, some leather jacket sometimes, and it's good. And then, like I said earlier, I learnt how to cast a line, and with my daughter it was hilarious. I was showing her how to cast a line, and she had a go at casting the rod, and of course the tip of the rod came off and went into the went into the water. And I'm sure many people who've learned to cast a line would have had very similar experiences, or they've thrown their line out and accidentally let go of the reel as well, and then it's all gone. So sadly those sort of things do happen when you go fishing, and camping as well. Like I said, many of the people that I know that go camping, and I have a friend who goes camping every year, and I look at some fantastic photos on Facebook of them just sitting around working pretty hard at relaxing on a river frontage, and it looks pretty damn fine to me, if I must say so myself. And I know they are responsible people. They enjoy the environment, they enjoy the natural environment. They get out on their kayaks, they kayak up and down the river, and when they leave, they take their rubbish with them. They make sure they extinguish any campfires that they've used, and they use any barbecues in a responsible manner as well. So again, I think that as someone who lives in Victoria now, and I have been camping, down at Rye, and although it was cold, it was good fun. I'd like to see, and I do look for places that you can take your dog, because, like, you know, you've got to take the whole family when you go camping. You can't leave the dog behind. Of course, you can't have your dogs in national parks. That's a no-no. But there are some places where you can take dogs, and so I look for those places as well. So, you know, you've got to take your family and it's all good fun. Dog gets out on the kayak or the paddleboard with me as well, so that's great. And they're wonderful experiences for Victorians to have, as well as children experiencing the outdoors, you know, learning how to play and be away from screens and the TV and all that sort of stuff. It's fantastic, and I'd like to think that other Victorians, families and their children can have the same experiences. You know, we used to do all sorts of manner of things, and I remember actually when we were camping, kids running around the park that we were camping in, going absolutely bananas, but having a whale of a time without a phone in their hand or near a TV. It's actually wonderful. Climbing trees, all that sort of stuff. Fantastic. So look, you know, again, these are, like I said, these laws are not radically changing things. It's just a way of harmonising things. People are already doing these things in an informal way. They're already sharing the natural environment that exists already. And like I said, the farmers or whoever has licences over Crown land, you know, to suggest that because they have a licence they can therefore exclude the public access to Crown land is not fair or reasonable as well. It is not a lease. Like I said, these licences are different, you know, confer different rights on landholders. And as I said, people have been able for some time to very well manage their competing interests. And so it's like I said, there are people who are already doing these things. So it's just to harmonise that. So I think, you know, the bill as well, and we talked about people accessing natural assets. I mean, the bill is specifically relevant to the electorates of Bass, which is in the location of the new Marine Coastal Park, which is fantastic. Monbulk, with interest groups supporting the creation of the Yellingbo Landscape Conservation Area and the connection to the Alpine School, and Bendigo East with the amendments to support the Bendigo Airport. And so more broadly, the bill is also relevant to all electorates by delivering election commitments and getting on with the job of delivering improvements to the public land estate as expected by government. So the bill delivers significant advancements to support people to enjoy the great outdoors, as I said, while protecting the natural values that we're so proud of. So look, Madam Acting President, I might leave my contribution there, but I just encourage everyone in this chamber to support the bill but oppose the amendments and the committee referral. As I said, the committee's already doing some substantial work in reviewing ecosystems. This referral will just be a duplication and unnecessary work for that committee. And as I said, the amendment we oppose because it would confer a new set of rights on licence holders and would in fact preclude people from accessing Crown land, and that's something that's unfair and unreasonable. So with that, Madam Acting President, I'll commend the bill to the House but oppose the amendment and the committee referral. Thank you.